Good day everyone, I am Louis Albæk Thomsen from Technical University of Denmark, and today I will present our work, Open Source Toolkits for Experiments in Virtual Reality, a scoping review, co-authored with Rico Kruger. VR is increasingly used to study behavior and cognition across human-computer interaction, psychology, and neuroscience. But running VR experiments at scale is still hard. Researchers must deal with complex software stacks, heterogeneous sensors and logs, and time-consuming synchronization and analysis pipelines. In response, the community has produced many open-source research toolkits, but the landscape remains fragmented. Across this fragmented landscape, three hurdles appear again and again: experiment orchestration, multimodal capture, and downstream work. In other words, researchers need help structuring studies, synchronizing data across devices, and then analyzing, replaying, and preserving those data in reproducible ways. Our goal was to map and organize peer-reviewed toolkits that support this lifecycle. This paper makes 4 contributions. First, a scoping review of 67 peer-reviewed research-oriented open-source VR experiments toolkits from 2015 to July 2025. Second, a taxonomy spanning 5 categories across the experiment lifecycle. Third, a synthesis of trends, trade-offs, and recurring practices. And fourth, a maintenance snapshot and roadmap centered on interoperability, replay, and sustainable data formats. In other words, we ask how this ecosystem can be organized, what trade-offs characterize it, and what practical guidance follows. We group VR experiment data into 3 modalities: behavioral, physiological, and subjective. Behavioral covers movement and interaction, physiological covers biosignals, and subjective covers ratings and surveys. Increasingly, modern toolkits aim to synchronize these modalities. Methodologically, this was a scoping review. We searched 2 databases supplemented with Google Scholar and citation chasing. We included peer-reviewed English language work from 2015 to July 2025, focusing on public source and source-available toolkits for immersive VR experiments across the research workflow. In total, we started with 455 records, and after screening and eligibility assessment, ended with 67 included studies. From these studies, we derived 5 categories: comprehensive experiment frameworks, data collection and synchronization toolkits, interaction and environment creation toolkits, analysis, replay, and visualization frameworks, and remote, distributed, and cross-reality toolkits. The first category covers frameworks that help structure experiments end-to-end. They typically support session, block, and trial flow, conditions, randomization, counterbalancing, and logging of participant or session metadata. This category includes both general-purpose frameworks such as UXF, BML-Tux, Study Framework, and VXP Toolbox, and domain-specific frameworks, especially for navigation, psychophysics, time perception, learning, or experiments built on top of existing worlds. The second category focuses on logging and synchronization. These toolkits support event logs, continuous streams, device abstraction, and multimodal integration across sensors and the VR runtime. A central recurring middleware layer here is Lab Streaming Layer, which many toolkits use for time-synchronized streaming. We also distinguish monomodal logging tools, from which are multimodal pipelines that combine behavior with physiology, audio-video, self-report, and sometimes replay and analysis viewers. The third category reduces the engineering burden of building experimental scenes and interactions, especially for researchers with limited programming experience. These tools support rapid prototyping, adaptive UI optimizations, redirected walking, threat and avoidance environments, procedural scene generation, DOM-based setups, and generative content. This category also includes research-relevant asset libraries, such as avatar and hand resources, because assets influence experimental control, representation, and replicability. The fourth category addresses analysis, replay, and visualization. This area is growing because VR data are spatio-temporal and often multimodal, so raw logs alone are usually not enough. Researchers increasingly need replay, annotation, coding, coordinated views, immersive visualization, and in some cases AI-assisted interpretation. So the ecosystem is moving from simple capture towards tools that support deeper inspection and explanation. The fifth category reflects the rise of standalone headsets, remote participation, and cross-reality workflows. These toolkits support distributed experiments, remote supervision, synchronized multi-site logging, WebXR studies, and observation or control across augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality settings. Looking across categories, the first major pattern is Unity dominance. Unity is the most common platform in the reviewed ecosystem, likely because of C# documentation, visual scripting options, community support, and the asset ecosystem, lowering entry barriers. But that accessibility also concentrates maintenance risks, because engine or SDK changes can quickly break research stacks. The second pattern is the trade-off between ease of use and expressive power. GUI-driven or no-code tools support fast prototyping, but often constrain flexibility. Code-centric and modular tools provide more control for bespoke studies, but require more technical skill. In practice, many labs combine several tools and then write glue code between them. The third pattern is convergence around synchronization. Earlier toolkits emphasize trial flow and behavioral logs. Newer toolkits increasingly capture richer context, support replay, and move toward higher level analysis. So reproducibility now depends not only on code but also on schemas, metadata, and synchronization designs. A fourth pattern is the shift from capture towards interpretation. Shared substrates such as lab streaming layer help align multimodal streams. At the same time, there is a growing emphasis on event logging aligned to streams, explicit ground truth markers, and replayable datasets that preserve enough state to reconstruct a session. This is also where AI-assisted analysis begins to appear. These patterns point to a broader issue: fragmentation across engines and stacks. Labs often rely on incompatible event vocabularies, inconsistent identifiers, brittle pipelines, and one-off converters. As a result, analysis and replay tooling are difficult to reuse across labs. What is missing is a thin, engine-agnostic interoperability layer. We also examined sustainability. 3 recurring pressures stand out: engine and SDK churn, academic funding cycles that end stewardship, and dependency fragmentation, especially in Unity-centered stacks. So a maintenance snapshot is useful, but recency alone does not guarantee compatibility or long-term viability. From the review, we can suggest a practical recipe. Before sessions, run a pre-flight synchronization check. During recording, monitor drift, store both raw and corrected timing, mark key events consistently, and capture rich metadata such as hardware, versions, calibration, seeds, and condition files. After sessions, use replay to verify fidelity and archive data, pre-processing and analysis scripts together. Across developers, researchers, and the broader community, the main recommendation is convergence rather than fragmentation. Developers should support stable schemas, versioned exports, robust synchronization, and replay-ready data structures. Researchers should choose tools based on not only features but also sustainability while prioritizing metadata, provenance, and synchronization checks. And as a community, we should share datasets, scripts, benchmarks, and cross-platform adapters that improve interoperability across labs and platforms. This review also has limitations. It is bounded to peer-reviewed open source software, and it excludes commercial platforms and gray literature repositories without papers. It is a scoping review rather than a benchmark, and the maintenance snapshot reflects a July 2025 cross-section in a fast-moving ecosystem. Looking ahead, we see 5 promising directions: a cross-platform VR experiment description language, federated repositories of replayable datasets, LLM-assisted experiment design and debugging, cross-reality analytical workflows linking immersive replay with desktop analysis, and adaptive UI toolkits driven by multimodal signals. A final cross-cutting point is ethics and privacy. As these toolkits capture richer multimodal data, future infrastructure should better support privacy-aware collection, governance, and sharing. To conclude, we mapped 67 peer-reviewed VR experiment toolkits. The ecosystem is rich but fragmented. We found Unity dominance, a recurring trade-off between ease and control, a shift towards synchronized multimodal capture, and growing interest in replay and AI-assisted analysis. Our main takeaways is that the field would benefit from an engine-agnostic interoperability layer built around shared schemas, replay, and sustainable data exports.